Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last proper video, and I apologise for that. Despite being extremely satisfied with my channel's growth in such a short amount of time and being excited for the future of the channel, for whatever reason I just couldn't find the time to properly make content that I can say I'm proud of. This is the same reason that I just don't really shitpost, I guess you can say. I don't want to spam you guys, and I'm sure you don't want to see some trash content, because that's not why you're here. Well, at least I hope not. Besides that though, I've always been interested in analysis of video games, finding out what makes them work, or indeed not, and just seeing differing opinions on many different video games online. Ones that I've played, ones that I haven't played. This is why today I'm starting a new series of sorts. Starting with the first in the series, I will be gradually covering the entire mainline Sonic series of games in order. All of them. The good, the bad, and I guess the middle ground. Some of these games I've already played, some of these games I've never even touched and don't want to, but starting today, for whatever reason, I decided that I'm gonna play these games and I'm gonna give my opinion on them. So, without further ado, this is my Sonic the Hedgehog retrospective.
Yo, he goes slow. He ain't no fool with that Sonic speed. He just always cool. Sonic the Hedgehog. No fool. Come on, just show me what you got. Going fast is cool, going slow is not. Sonic the Hedgehog. No fool. Wild game, dude. Setting danger zone. You and Sonic speed through, or you are catch, man. Sonic the Hedgehog, the hot new game from Genesis Games. Systems and games go separately. No fool.
I'm sure by now that everybody knows that Sonic was a mascot created by SEGA in direct opposition to Nintendo's Mario, which at the time had the video game industry in a bit of a monopoly. Sonic single-handedly demolished that monopoly and earned his place in the video game industry. And as you can see, SEGA was more than aggressive with their marketing campaign, and it worked.
Danita Stokes, president of HAG.
It's bad enough that Sega Genesis has the most 16-bit games, but this new Sonic the Hedgehog, oh, he really doth my doilies. They say he's incredibly fast. Well, what's the hurry, mister? And about his attitude. Smarty pants. Why can't it be more like that nice boy Mario? Oh! Little brat!
Now, get Sonic free when you buy a Sega Genesis system at its new price of $149.99.
By the end of 1993, Sega owned 60% of the 16-bit console market in North America. Nintendo sales dropped to 37%. And this all started with Sonic the Hedgehog, originally released in 1991 for the Sega Genesis. And this game starts with a bang. Everything about Green Hill Zone is such a perfect way to establish this game, and even just the Sonic series as a whole. This level spits in the face of what players were used to at this time. Mario had his traditional platformers, which were good, but there was a few differences that made Sonic stand out. Where Mario was pacing himself from left to right, Sonic was going up, down, through tunnels, and using the momentum of his speed to launch himself into the air. While Mario's levels were mostly flat, Green Hill Zone had verticality and differing routes that the player could take from start to finish. And most importantly, the zone had open space for the player to throw themselves around in, a bit like a playground for them to experiment with their speed and how they can control Sonic. This heavily contrasts with how in Mario games there was such a formulaic focus on tight and precise platforming, where the level design was good but it felt flat, and in comparison to Sonic, slow. This, in my opinion, is literally the best level that Sonic could have started his career with, and I don't think Sonic would be as well known as he is today without it. There's a reason SEGA keeps reusing this level, and even if it's annoying, it's because they know they made something good here. Honestly though, try capturing that magic again with something new, and maybe we won't need to suffer from lines such as this.
There's sand everywhere! Green Hill's looking a lot more like Sand Hill right now.
Unfortunately, after beating Eggman for the first time and finishing Green Hill Zone, this is where the game's quality begins to take a turn for the worse. Remember how I listed the reasons that Sonic was opposing Mario not just in design but also in gameplay? After Green Hill Zone, this almost all seems to go out the window, as Sonic seemingly tries to become something of a Mario clone himself. Marble Zone is the level that follows Green Hill, and it's where the problems really begin to show themselves. Although the level's not flat like a Mario level, it still showcases verticality. It just falls short of offering the player differing routes, such as in Green Hill Zone. Apart from the odd secret here and there, the path doesn't really split and stays linear throughout, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but it differs from what Green Hill had earlier established. It also leaves less room for the player to run around in and be fast, which is literally the whole purpose of the game. The reason you couldn't go fast is because instead of finding yourself on a differing path that is still going towards the goal like in Green Hill Zone, you'll bump into a wall, an enemy, lava, or worse, you just get crushed or fall into a pit. This is so frustrating to sit through as a player, because one moment you're being told to go fast as you can and just go nuts with the level designs. The very next level you are being punished for doing what they just taught you to do. This is taken further by the level's tight corridors and clear focus on precise platforming. While Sonic controls fine and feels alright to move, and it's definitely not a bad case of platforming, it wasn't nearly as tight and pinpoint as controlling Mario. I guess you can't beat him at his own game. Unfortunately, Marble Zone was just a warning of signs to come, as the main issues I found in that zone just continue to persist for the rest of the game, and in some cases worsen throughout. Spring Yard Zone was the next level, and while using Sonic as a living pinball was a great idea, having him bounce all around the level still falls short in my opinion, and the idea would eventually be fully realised later in Sonic 2. This zone is also where the bosses come to earn themselves the reputable title of cringe. The bosses up to this point were easy enough and harmless, but here Eggman uses a spike to remove the flooring beneath you one by one. This leads to lots of cheap deaths by falling into the never-ending abyss. Even a self-diagnosed, seasoned Sonic Mega gamer like myself struggled with this boss, and I even got a game over at this point as well. Next is a zone that many people like to hate on, but looking at this level from a more critical standpoint, I definitely got it. And that would be Labyrinth Zone. Labyrinth Zone is a water level. Yep, a water level. But this water in particular, Sonic does not swim. He just awkwardly jogs around as he sinks to the bottom. Being submerged in water, Sonic is a lot slower, meaning you have to readjust your timing when dodging things and do more precise platforming. Not only that, but you have to constantly manage your breath with these bubbles, because to the annoyance of some, Sonic does breathe. If you don't manage Sonic's breath, you will be introduced to one of the most horrifying, stress-inducing pieces of music in history. Again, the boss here is quite cringe. Instead of trying to defeat Eggman, you have to get through this gauntlet of platforming, spikes, fireballs, enemies. But you can't take your time too much, because I feel like now is a good time to take a break from looking at the zones and just to appreciate the soundtrack of this game. Because if there's one saving grace about Labyrinth Zone, it would be the music. Masato Nakamura, bass guitarist of J-pop band Dreams Come True, was reportedly in the middle of recording for the band's fourth studio album, Million Kisses, when he was approached by SEGA to compose the soundtrack of a game called Sonic the Hedgehog. Although he was only given concept art of the game and words from the development team at SEGA, he got to work. It is genuinely incredible what Nakamura was able to achieve here with such a limited technology of the Genesis. Nakamura expressed that the limited number of sounds he could use at once made the process inspiring, forcing him to be smarter in the way he wrote. Not only did he make the music extremely catchy, but he also made music that fits the themes of the levels. I wanted Sonic to come across as cinematic. I wanted melodies that the player would hum along with as they were playing. Dramatic music for when the scenes were intense, climactic music for when bosses would show up, and then tie it all together with an uplifting theme to the end credits. That's what I knew I wanted it all to be like. Green Hill Zone was already great design on its own, but the music that accompanies it simply puts the cherry on top of a great level. And the rest of the soundtrack definitely shines through, even if the levels don't complement it that well. Nakamura truly set the golden standard for what a Sonic OST should be, and as we know, the following soundtracks to come got better and better. Moving back to the zones, we have Starlight Zone, which showcases the same problems as the levels before it. Although it does have a little more space than the other zones, and it definitely allows you to go fast in some cases, even if it's just for short little bursts. This is all mitigated by the fact that, in most cases, if you go fast here, you'll be instantly punished by a spike enemy or pitfall. For a change, the boss here is actually pretty good. It has a nice balance of challenge and multiple ways to defeat Eggman. You can either use the spikes he drops on you to hurt him, or you can use those same spikes to launch yourself into him. Very nice. The final zone is a horrible mess of all the problems already mentioned, cranked up to 100%. I'm sure you can gather from the gameplay, but I struggle with this zone a lot. I barely scrape by. I pretty much only get through because I'm able to salvage a coin or two when I get hit. This level is just relentless. It has pitfalls, it'll crush you, there are enemies everywhere. To make matters worse, you've already struggled through Acts 1 and 2 of this. Eggman shows up to send you right back down into what is basically Labyrinth Zone Act 4, but a lot worse. Kinda weird how one of the worst zones in this game gets 4 acts. Could he not have just sent me back to Green Hill? That would have been nice. Or maybe send me into a better game. Anyway, After struggling your way through this final piece of that Eggman hurls at you, you're faced with the final boss, which, surprise surprise, is Eggman, which does not allow you any coins. This boss relies on crushing you with these pistons, and also the fact that there's no coins, you can get hit by these purple orbs and die instantly, which is really cheap in my opinion, but at the very least, these purple orbs are easy enough to dodge, including the pistons, so honestly this boss is quite easy and kind of underwhelming for a final boss as well. So that's all the zones. There are special stages that allow you to collect the 6 Chaos Emeralds. Yeah, in this game there's only 6 for some reason. Ironically, although probably not intentionally, meaning you cannot turn into Super Sonic in this game. That would be introduced later in Sonic 2. The only reward you get is a slightly different ending screen and the satisfaction of doing it, I guess. But these special stages, in my opinion, are not worth the hassle. They teleport you to some sort of weird, trippy dimension in the middle of nowhere. Sonic is incredibly hard to control here. For some reason, he feels super stiff to maneuver, and the map seems to constantly be spinning out of the way of where you want it to go. It's not exactly fun to play through, and the reward doesn't exactly justify the effort spent. The only good thing I can say about the special stage is the extra incentive it gives the player during levels. To activate a special stage, you need to reach the end of the act with 50 rings in hand. This incentivizes the player to collect as many rings as possible and makes them explore and look for secrets. It also adds a level of tensity when trying not to lose all your coins. This also gives the player, even if it's only a small one, a reason to play other than to just go from point A to point B, which is pretty much Mario's whole game library at this point in time. It's just a shame that the special stages ended up being a bit more tedious than special. Sonic 1 was a revolutionary game, single-handedly destroying Nintendo's dominance on the video game industry, giving SEGA a turn in the spotlight, and spawning a multi-billion-dollar franchise of games, for better or for worse. I want to also start a tier list for this series. Basically, at the end of each video, I will place the game that I've just analysed in the tier list, and it'll grow the further we cover the series. For now, Sonic 1 is going to go here. While Sonic 1 definitely started off well with Green Hill and left a fine impression on the video game market, it ended up slowly drifting into a precise platformer rather than focusing on the things that made Sonic Sonic. This is something that would soon be amended though, in the very near future.